Someone is playing a game with your mind, and the worst part, you probably don't even know it. You just feel confused, drained, uncertain, like no matter how hard you try, something feels off. The smiles don't feel real. The words sound right but twist in your gut. You question your instincts, your memory, even your worth. But this isn't bad luck or anxiety. This is strategy. You're not overthinking. You're being manipulated. There are people, sometimes the ones closest to you, who don't argue, don't shout, and don't threaten. Instead, they play games, mind games, silent, deadly, strategic games that twist your perception, your emotions, your sense of self. They don't win with power. They win by making you feel powerless. And here's the catch. These games only work on people who care. People like you. People who want to believe the best in others. People who try to understand, to fix, to give the benefit of the doubt. But what if I told you there's a way to see it, to name it, to stop it? In this video, you'll discover 7 deadly mind games manipulators play on the weak, and the specific psychological tactics they use to break your defenses. I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to give you language, power, clarity, because when you can name the game, you stop being a player. Let me ask you something. Have you ever apologized for something you didn't even do, just to keep the peace? Have you ever felt like you were crazy for feeling hurt because the other person acted like nothing happened? Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling like you lost, but you don't even know what the fight was really about? If yes, welcome to the playground. Manipulators don't need weapons. They use confusion, silence, guilt, and flattery. They make you doubt yourself, so you start chasing their approval. And the more unsure you are, the more in control they become. And here's the danger. If you don't recognize these games, you will spend years stuck in emotional limbo. You'll question yourself more than you question them. You'll confuse being nice with being used. But if you're ready to see behind the curtain, to stop feeling like a pawn and reclaim your mental clarity, keep watching. Because knowledge isn't just power, it's protection. Game 1, Gaslighting. The art of making you doubt your reality. It starts small. You remember what they said, but they insist they never said it. You bring up something that hurt. They laugh and say you're being dramatic. You start to second guess your memory, your reactions, your instincts. And that's exactly what they want. Because the moment you start to doubt yourself, they win. Gaslighting is not just lying. It's psychological warfare. It's when someone rewrites reality in front of your eyes and then convinces you that you're the problem for noticing. They'll say, "You're imagining things," or "That never happened," or worse, "You're too sensitive." And they'll do it so calmly that you begin to feel guilty just for feeling anything at all. Over time, you stop trusting your own mind. You stop confronting them. You shrink. You apologize for things you didn't do. You stay quiet to avoid being crazy again. And they keep controlling the narrative while looking completely innocent to everyone else. This game works especially well on people who are empathetic, self-aware, or recovering from trauma. Why? Because you're already used to questioning yourself. You're willing to improve, to reflect, to take responsibility, and they twist that into a weapon against you. You think, maybe I misunderstood, or maybe I was overreacting, but deep down a voice whispers, no, that happened. It hurt, and it mattered. And that voice, that's your reality trying to survive. Gaslighting is one of the most dangerous mind games because it isolates you not just from others, but from yourself. And the longer you stay in it, the harder it becomes to leave. Because when you can't trust your own thoughts, who can you trust? But here's the truth. Real love never requires you to betray yourself. If someone makes you feel confused, small, or crazy every time you bring up your feelings, it's not miscommunication, it's control. The antidote? Start documenting what happens. Write it down. Say it out loud. Validate your own experiences, even if they don't. Reconnect with people who mirror truth, not manipulation. And above all, trust that feeling in your gut. Because gaslighting only works when you agree to doubt yourself. And the moment you stop, the game ends. Game 2, intermittent reinforcement, the push-pull that keeps you hooked. This one feels like love, and at first, they give you just enough attention to make you feel seen, and then disappear, then come back, then pull away again. And every time they return, it feels like relief, like oxygen, like maybe they do care after all. That's the trap. Intermittent reinforcement is the psychological pattern where rewards are given inconsistently, and it's the exact method casinos use to keep people playing. The uncertainty, the inconsistency, the randomness, it wires your brain to chase validation harder, even when it hurts. You stop focusing on how often they hurt you, and start clinging to those rare moments when they're kind. You replay their compliments, you forgive their silences, you wait, and wait, and wait, for the version of them that once made you feel special. But here's the thing. They know exactly what they're doing. When they withhold attention, they create tension. When they offer affection again, you feel relief. That's not love. That's conditioning. It's not random. It's designed to make you work harder for less. You might find yourself thinking, but they're just busy. Or, I'm probably asking for too much. Number. You're asking for consistency. And that's the one thing a manipulator won't give you, because consistency creates security, and they don't want you secure. They want you addicted. They want you chasing. They want you confused and grateful for breadcrumbs. And the more unpredictable they become, the more you blame yourself for not being enough to earn their affection. Stop. Step back. Ask yourself, if someone really cared, would they treat love like a reward you have to win? Or would they make you feel safe, even on your worst days? The antidote? Stop romanticizing inconsistency. Pay attention not to the highs, but to the pattern. If someone's affection comes with conditions, withdrawal, and confusion, it's not chemistry, it's manipulation. And you deserve better than a slot machine version of love. Game 3, guilt tripping, when they turn your empathy into a cage. You say no, and they sigh, not loudly, just enough for you to hear. You set a boundary, and they suddenly look heartbroken, like you've betrayed them. You speak your truth, and they whisper, after everything I've done for you, that's not love. That's emotional debt. Guilt tripping is when someone manipulates your conscience to get what they want, by making you feel selfish, ungrateful, or cruel. It's subtle, calculated, and devastatingly effective on people who care. The more you give, the more they demand. The more you try to protect their feelings, the more you abandon your own. And slowly, you become the villain in your own story. You begin to apologize for protecting your peace. You say yes when you want to say no. You stay when you want to leave, because they've convinced you that leaving would destroy them. And so, you carry their emotions like a punishment. Their sadness becomes your fault. Their anger, your responsibility. Their unmet needs, your failure. But here's the truth. You are not responsible for how others feel when you honor your boundaries. Guilt tripping thrives on your fear of being bad, of being unloving, of being cold. But healthy relationships don't require self-erasure. They don't demand you sacrifice your well-being to prove your loyalty. Love does not weaponize pain to get compliance. If someone makes you feel guilty for having needs, space, or a voice, they're not hurt. They're controlling you. And the worst part? They often frame it as vulnerability. I just feel abandoned. You've changed. I guess I'm just not enough anymore. And suddenly, you're the one comforting them for how they reacted to your truth. That's not emotional honesty. That's manipulation wrapped in sadness. The antidote? Stand firm in your no. Let the discomfort rise. Let the guilt exist. But don't let it lead. Because true love doesn't fear your boundaries. It respects them. Guilt tripping only works when your empathy becomes a leash. Cut it. Game 4. Projection, when they make you carry their shame. They cheat and accuse you of being unfaithful. They lie and demand to know why you can't be honest. They're angry, defensive, unstable, and somehow you end up apologizing for being too emotional. That's projection. It's when someone takes what they can't accept in themselves and hurls it at you. Their fears become your faults. Their mistakes become your burdens. And you don't even see it happening, because it's cloaked in rage, in guilt, in twisted logic that makes you question yourself. You ask, did I actually do something wrong? Am I making this worse? Maybe I am the problem. But here's the truth. You're just the mirror, and they're trying to shatter it. People who live in denial can't stand the reflection you offer. Your calmness exposes their chaos. Your honesty threatens their lies. Your boundaries highlight their manipulation. And so, instead of facing themselves, they attack you. They gaslight, they guilt trip, they blame. Because in their world, it's easier to call you toxic than admit they're broken. And if you're not careful, you'll start carrying shame that was never yours. You'll shrink. You'll self-censor. You'll try harder to be better just to stop the blame. But no matter how perfect you become, they'll still find something wrong. Because it was never about you. It was never your reflection they hated. It was their own. The antidote? Step back. Stop defending yourself against accusations that don't make sense. Ask yourself, who does this behavior actually sound like? Listen closely, because their insults often contain accidental confessions. And above all, don't absorb the emotions that aren't yours. Let them own their chaos. Let them sit in their discomfort. Because when someone is drowning in their own darkness, they'll do anything to pull you under, just so they don't feel alone. Refuse to drown with them. Game 5, Silent Treatment, when silence is used as a weapon. They don't yell, they don't explain, they just vanish. No texts, no calls, no eye contact, just a cold, calculated absence that wraps around you like a punishment. And the worst part? You have no idea what you did wrong. That's the point. Silent treatment is one of the most passive-aggressive forms of emotional control. It says, you don't matter enough for a conversation. It's not about needing space. It's about making you beg for connection. And so you do. You apologize even when you're not sure what for. You replay every interaction in your head, trying to decode the moment you became unworthy of acknowledgement. You feel anxious, insecure, desperate for repair, and when they finally return, they act like nothing happened. No apology, no explanation, just a subtle power shift where now you're the one tiptoeing around them, terrified to trigger it again. This isn't distance, this is dominance. Healthy people talk. Manipulators withdraw, not to heal, but to hurt. Silence becomes their sword, and every time you respond by chasing, they learn they can control you with absence. It's not emotional maturity, it's emotional starvation, and it works especially well on people who fear abandonment, people who equate disconnection with failure. If that's you, know this: their silence is not your fault, and it's not your job to fix it. The antidote: don't chase. Don't fill the silence with self-blame. Let their withdrawal speak for itself. And instead of begging for crumbs, ask, do I really want a connection that disappears the moment I need communication the most? Because silence should be peaceful, not painful. And anyone who uses it to punish you doesn't deserve your words. Game 6, Idealization and Devaluation, when you're either a god or nothing. At first, you are everything. They call you special, different, the best thing that's ever happened to them. They flood you with praise, attention, admiration. It feels magical, intense, intoxicating. You think, this is it, this is real. But then, something shifts, a comment that stings, a look of disappointment, a withdrawal of affection that makes you feel like you failed. Suddenly, you're not enough. You're too needy, too distant, too emotional, too much. The pedestal they put you on becomes the cliff they push you off. And just like that, the person who once adored you now treats you like a burden. That's idealization and devaluation. It's a manipulation cycle where someone builds you up just to tear you down, over and over again. Why? Because keeping you in extremes gives them control. When you're idealized, you chase the high. When you're devalued, you chase the fix. And in both phases, your worth depends on them, their moods, their approval, their perception of you, which changes like weather. One moment, you're their savior. The next, their disappointment. And the more you try to earn your way back to that original high, the more power they have. This isn't love. It's addiction masquerading as intimacy. You're not being loved. You're being used as a mirror for their fantasy and punished when you reflect reality. They never loved you. They loved what you represented. And the moment you stopped making them feel ideal, they punished you for being human. The antidote? Stop trying to prove you're worthy of love you already gave freely. See the cycle. Feel the whiplash. Understand that real love doesn't have two faces. It doesn't exalt you just to destroy you. And it doesn't make you beg to be seen the way you were in the beginning, because the beginning wasn't real, and you don't need to earn your right to be treated with respect. You just need to stop playing a role in someone else's performance. Game 7. Triangulation, when they make you compete for what should be freely given. They talk about their ex a lot, about how understanding, attractive, or loyal that person was, or they suddenly bring up someone new, a friend, a colleague, just someone I talk to, and somehow you start feeling less than, less appreciated, less special. That's triangulation. It's when someone brings a third person, real or imagined, into the dynamic to provoke insecurity, jealousy, or competition. It's not accidental. It's a tactic. The goal? To make you fight for their attention, to make you feel replaceable, and to reestablish control without ever raising their voice. Suddenly, you're performing. You dress better. You agree more. You suppress your boundaries just to stay in their favor. And the more insecure you become, the more powerful they feel. Because now, they're not just your partner. They're the prize. The one everyone wants, and you? You're scrambling to earn what should have been a given, basic emotional safety. But here's the truth. If someone makes you compete for their love, it was never love to begin with. Triangulation is emotional sabotage. It turns connection into rivalry. It breaks trust. It creates paranoia. And worst of all, it diverts your focus. Instead of questioning their behavior, you start questioning your own worth. But you are not the problem. You are not too sensitive for wanting emotional clarity. You are not insecure for needing reassurance. You are not jealous for noticing a pattern. You are human. The antidote? Name it. Call it what it is. Do not play the game. If someone constantly compares you to others, they're not inspiring growth. They're planting fear. Walk away from any dynamic where someone's loyalty depends on how hard you beg for it. Because love should feel like home, not a competition you're afraid to lose. Now you see the games, and once you see them, you can't unsee them, the silence, the guilt, the confusion. It was never random. It was a system, a pattern, a design, and you were caught in it not because you were weak, but because you were kind, because you wanted to believe in love, in second chances, in the idea that if you just gave a little more, they would finally meet you halfway. But they never did, and they never will. Because people who play mind games don't want equals. They want control, power, submission disguised as connection. And the longer you play, the more you lose yourself. So if you're still wondering, what if I'm wrong? What if I'm overreacting? Pause. Breathe. Ask yourself, have I felt safe, seen, respected? Not sometimes, not occasionally, but consistently. If the answer is no, you're not overreacting. You're awakening. The truth is, you don't have to understand every rule of their game to stop playing it. You just have to walk away from the board, slowly, clearly, without apology. Because your peace is not up for negotiation. Not with people who punish you for being honest. Not with people who confuse you until you shrink. Not with people who use love as a leash. You are allowed to walk away from anyone who makes you doubt your own mind. You are allowed to stop explaining pain to people committed to misunderstanding you. And you are allowed, today, right now, to choose clarity over chaos, wholeness over games, yourself over illusions. If this video felt like truth, leave a comment. Let someone else know they're not alone in this. And if you're ready to stop being a player in someone else's script, unsubscribe from their manipulation and subscribe to your own power,